In a world filled with marital challenges, domestic violence, separations, divorces, and the likes, how do you deal with these kinds of challenges? I think that the way we enter into relationships, the way we negotiate relationships, makes a world of difference. It makes a difference between success and failure. How we negotiate, how we hold conversations, how we even start off our relationships. It makes a world of difference between whether those relationships would end as our biggest sources of joy or whether they will turn out to be an endurance trek. My name is Mason Theibxperience. I'm the college director at the Love Life Institute. I want you to follow me, to like, to share the videos to as many people as you think it will be a lot of help to them. Now, how do we negotiate relationships? I want to teach you from the life of Solomon. Solomon negotiated all his relationships on the basis of love, and all his relationships ended as disasters. I know you'll be asking, so how do you come to that conclusion? Beginning from 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1, we have the understanding that Solomon loved many strange women. So for Solomon, it has always been love as the basis for his decisions, whatever kind of decisions, even political, economic, relational, and the likes. And so Solomon always did that. How do I even know? Now, this same Solomon authored a book in the Bible, the phenomenal, profound book called the Songs of Solomon. Now, what many of us do not realize, while we try to use the book of Songs of Solomon as a template, as a model for negotiating and navigating relationships, what some of us do not realize is that at the time Solomon was writing the book of the Songs of Solomon, Solomon already had 60 wives, so there were 60 queens in the kingdom. Solomon already had 80 concubines. Solomon already had countless virgins at his disposal. And then one will ask himself, so if he had already had 60 marriages, what was special about the Shulamite woman? What was it about the Shulamite woman that he was crazy about? He chased after the Shulamite woman like crazy, like he lost his mind, like his life depended on it. What was it about? You know, I always tell people, you can't even convince me that was not how he chased the second wife after the first, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth. And now this is the 61st woman he was going to chase. And I'm asking, what will somebody who has had 60 failed marriages, what is he going to recommend? What actually is he going to say to anybody? Why would anybody want to template your relationship on the basis of what this kind of a person wrote? And then I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but that's in the Word of God. Excuse me. Listen, the Bible contains the Word of God. But that does not mean that everything in the Bible is the Word of God. Eve, for example, was told by the devil, you shall not surely die. That was just immediately after, God had told them, don't eat of this, otherwise you're going to die. You shall not surely die is the word of the devil, it's not the word of God, but it's in the Bible. So you want to come to terms with the fact that you cannot negotiate relationships the way Solomon negotiated relationships just because he documented his approach in the Bible. There are a lot of things in the Bible that are written there so that you don't do them. This is so important. So you cannot negotiate relationships primarily on the basis of love and not suffer frustration. You heard me. That's what I mean. So I'm going to tell you quickly a few things about love that you might want to put into perspective, because if you don't put them into perspective, unless you install checks and balances side by side with love as you negotiate relationships, love is going to mess you up. Some of the checks and balances you want to consider are wisdom, are peace, and joy. I'm going to talk about them on another broadcast. Now, one of the first things you want to know about love, and it's so important, is that love will shut down all analytic and logical reasoning as soon as it sets in. What even is love? A lot of the times, what people call love is not love. All that Solomon did was not love. Everything Solomon did with the Shulamite woman was an infatuation. And so a lot of the times we talk about love, and what we're dealing with is infatuation. Because you see, as soon as there is physical attraction, it sends a message into the body. That message comes as chemicals. Those chemicals are distributed all over the body. One of the places that those chemicals are sent across to is beyond the genitals, is the brain. The part of the brain that falls the most victim for those chemicals, they call them hormones, is the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is that part of the human brain that is responsible for good judgment, for analysis, for logic, for making quality and sound decisions. And so if as soon as this chemical is released into that part of the brain, it shuts it down. It relieves it of 80%, 90% of its potential and capacity. Imagine that you're going to navigate relationships at a time in your life when the most important instrument for making quality decisions is shut down. Imagine how stupid you're going to be. It's the reason why we do a lot of stupid things, or in the name of love. You don't want to do that. The next thing that love will do to you is that as soon as love steps in, it will make you you'll be smiling, you'll be so excited, even at the face of very idiotic, stupid decisions that you make. It's like Delilah pleading with you to show her the button to press so that she can take your life, and you're smiling. You are making her having fun instead of getting rid of her. That's how stupid love can make a person. The third thing that love does is that it creates fantasies and loads you with a lot of incredible, unrealistic expectations. It's the reason why people get married, and 24 days after, for some people it's even 24 hours after, they're wondering, how did I get here? How in the world did I choose you? Is this what it's going to be? Because the chemicals wear out, reality dawns on them, and they realize that this is the most stupid decision they've ever made in their life. If there's something I'm scared of in my life, is to get married to somebody and be told after 5 years, after a couple of years, that I was the worst decision that person made. That's pathetic. But all of the time is because people make and have all kinds of unrealistic expectations. As they step into marriage, as they go into relationships, they have expectations that no mortal has the capacity to fulfill, because they themselves are not whole. They have identity crisis, they have issues, they can't find fulfillment except it comes from people, and nobody has the capacity to give you fulfillment. It's something that you got to derive from finding purpose and fulfilling purpose. One of the last things that love is going to do to you is that it will make you hate somebody for no reason, just because you can't have your way. Now you're in the relationship and things are not turning out the way you thought or the way you planned. Things are just going completely off your fantasies. And you begin to hate on this person because you thought that life with them will seal up, will completely answer every question in your life. And now it does not happen that way because it ought not to happen that way. It cannot happen that way. And now you hate them. That's what love is going to do. You don't want to do that. It's the reason why I created a clarity challenge, to compel people, intending couples, married couples, to sit down and have very practical conversations that will navigate, that will, create the pathway to success in relationships. And I can tell you, you don't want to say I do or do life without being a part of that program. There are a lot of things we need to do as we negotiate relationships.